Many of us were disappointed with the showcase Creative Assembly displayed to us a few months back. One of us so much so that he decided to make his own game, that of which could possibly even rival the likes of Total War. What kind of man is capable of such a feat, you might ask? Well, who can take the sunrise and sprinkle it in dew, and dip it in some chocolate and a miracle or two? The Candyman can, of course. Candyman from Eisengeist Studios with his new game, Rule of Iron Dark Age. Say hi, Candyman.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for that intro.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling alive?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
Are we alive today? Say we're alive.
We are alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll work on it. Well, happy to have you here, man. I've been honestly looking forward to this all week. This is the highlight of my week right now.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. You know, I'm trapped in a snowstorm right now, and it's cold outside, and all I have is white wine. But I have this to look forward to, so there's a bright side. So I'll start with something a little simple. What's your what's your background? What's your professional background?
So I'm not a programmer, right? I started programming in Java when I was a kid to make Minecraft mods, but that's not my job, right? I have a job on the side. It's related to law, so I have a law degree. That's my professional background.
Really? You're a lawyer?
Well, not a lawyer. Just I have a degree, right?
That is insane. That is insane. And you do coding on the side as a side gig.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man! And you have a game on the Steam page already, right? The same name. It's the Napoleonic Wars one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Napoleonic Wars. It was pretty much my attempt at making an Ultimate General game, just set in the Napoleonic time. And it's more like Ultimate General, so it has no collision, for example. It's just ranged combat, pretty much, a bit of melee combat.
Right.
But yeah, that was my first game in this series.
Right. I saw the stuff on the Steam page for that, and looking at Dark Ages now, you've really evolved from where you were, in my opinion. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see more of that. What made you start working on Dark Ages anyway? What was the pushing point for you?
Well, so I love Total War, right? I was a huge fan. My favorite game is Rome 1 Total War.
That's a good one.
And so much so, like, I really even remember how I found it in the store, right? I remember the moment. That's how much I love that game. Then Rome 2 came around, and it was like the first game I ever pre-ordered, and the only one I ever pre-ordered in my entire life. And I pre-ordered it for like 120 euros or something like that. And we all know what happened then.
Betrayed, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's just, and about a year ago, pretty much a year ago, I was, I just had the idea, maybe I can just try making my own game, like that, similar to that, inspired by that. For that I have to say, like, it's really one of the most difficult games you could ever attempt to make. Like, it's really insane. Like, it's really up there with like GTA or something like that, and it's so special. Like, it's not like you can open a book and look it up,
right?
How to do this. You're pretty much on your own, and this is also the reason why no one has ever really tried to compete with Creative Assembly on this. It's such a special thing. You need, performance challenges are huge, and you need 2 games, not one. You need 2 really special AIs for it. So to start out with that was a bit much, like, at the beginning. So I kind of scoped it smaller. I tried something called Ultimate General, and that game was much simpler to make, and I made that in like 6 months. And then
keep going.
Yeah. No, please ask.
Sure, yeah. Well, so I was going to say, you've been working on this game for about a year now.
No, not Dark Age. So Napoleon was 6 months, and then I started working on Dark Age in like August to September, I would say. And I was so it's only a few months old. Like what I showed you in the devlogs, that's about 2 to 3 months of work because I took a break in between and did some other stuff.
What is so all of that got done within 3 months, and you weren't even working that whole time? From August to September, you said?
Yeah, and I have a job, so
and a job, that's right. And you're self-taught.
Yeah,
dude, that's I'm already kind of early into the shill bashing, but like how do you defend that at this point? How do you defend a $500 price tag and copious amounts of bugs and from a massively overbloated company, multi-billion-dollar company, when you are doing this basically in a cave with a bunch of scraps? How do you excuse that nonsense? It's so incredible, man. I can't. You have got. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna put the pressure on you right now. You have got to succeed, because if you do that, you are going to run circles around these people.
Well, I guess we could all have a good laugh when it would be really successful.
Yeah, we're gonna have more than that. We're gonna have a good game to play.
Yeah.
So, and that leads me into my next question. I already know the answer to this. You already know the answer to this. But for posterity's sake, and for the sake of discussing it, what makes your game, your strategy game in particular, special? What makes it worth buying? What differentiates it from Strategos, Master of Command? What is it? Kingdom Wars, Knights of Honor. What makes yours different?
Well, so of course I didn't just want to make like a one-to-one copy of Medieval 2 or something like that. There's no need for that, right? So when I was, researching what to do for Dark Age, this is just one aspect, but I guess it's the most prominent one. I was looking into how you could improve the collision system, especially because older Total Wars, starting with Rome 2, or I think Empire, really changed the collision mechanics for the worse. And I stumbled upon a method that scientists use to research crowd behavior and to research, crowd crushes. When people at a concert or anything like that, they panic and it's too dense and people actually die. And they use this simulation to find out, how can we prevent that? How can we mitigate that? And the reason they use this fluid simulation model is that it models things like transmission of force, right? So it's not like only the two people that touch push each other like it's normally done, but also the people behind them matter, and it's it ripples through. So if you have a big crowd and somebody crashes into the front, then this goes through, the force transmits through all of the particles to the back. And I thought that this was a huge opportunity for a battle simulator, because all of this matters. Suddenly, it starts mattering, like how are my soldiers arranged in space? Are they in a wedge? Are they in a rectangle? How tight is it? How loose? How deep is the formation? And it's all stuff that mattered in real life, like in battles like Cannae,
right,
or Leuctra. And that would be a very, very robust way of modeling that. And there's of course different ways of doing that. Like, for example, a game like Strategos does it with more like stat modifiers, I guess. So you would like click the wedge, but I don't know like if that's in the game, but that's like the design spirit of it. Like you would put the unit in a wedge formation, and that applies like a stat modifier, for example. But the problem with that, it's not very robust, like, because what if the unit isn't in the wedge? Like, what if it's still like moving into position into the wedge.
Right.
Is the modifier already applied or not? So it's not a really robust way of modeling this. It breaks down in many situations, and it's just much better to have this in this natural emergent way.
I agree. I agree. And you know, I've watched the gameplay. It's phenomenal stuff. It's really interesting, and we'll get into that as we go forward. I got stuff on both of the devlogs, and then I have more questions about that. But it's if you haven't seen it, if you're watching this video right now and you haven't seen the devlogs, go watch it, because me personally, I've never seen anything like it. And to take the what's the video? It's the I fix Total Wars.
I solved Total War's biggest problem.
Watch that. Because it's like an actual equation. It's like freaking Einstein stuff that you didn't pay attention to in high school. It's insane, and he put that in the game. It's just it's phenomenal. So go watch that. But back to you. I have a question. Have you played Medieval 1?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. How about Shogun 1?
Yeah, Shogun 1 more than Medieval 1.
Oh, well, you know who's going to be really happy about that? Voland. And he has a question for you here. He asks, what challenges CA faces, wait, I'm sorry. What have you learned about the challenges that CA faces, and if there are any pitfalls that you think they've fallen into that you found ways to consciously avoid?
You mean the mistakes like that they made? Or?
Yeah, like mistakes, any like you mentioned with Strategos, Total War does the same thing where you click the wedge formation and the stat bonus is already applied.
Yeah.
And
it's actually like a huge list of things that are really mines. So,
okay.
I think the first thing I thought of was putting too much emphasis on graphics, because putting the graphics over the gameplay. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I want the game to look good, and I'm also working on the graphics. Right? It's important that it's beautiful.
Right.
But when you prioritize graphics, you get problems like. So the transition from Rome 1's combat model, where the soldiers have a stab animation, and to Empire Total War, where they have pair animations, right? That's a huge problem, because yes, the pair animations look better, they are more epic when you zoom in, but it's just worse gameplay, because now it suddenly doesn't matter anymore if a soldier is stabbed in the back or in the side, but it's just what particular animation plays, and you suddenly lost a huge amount of tactics. It doesn't really matter anymore if you charge into the back of a unit.
So really interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, so those pair animations, they're a huge problem, and so that that's never gonna happen in my game.
Got it. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Because I never realized how pivotal a role that specifically played in the negation of actual tactics and the strategic depth of it. So yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one right there.
Yeah. So another thing would be starting to focus too much on the campaign, because it's really dangerous, because the campaign is. It's easier to make. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's pretty easy to make compared to the battles. The battles are the real, why we even play this game, right? They're the special part
exactly.
That make this game so unique. But starting to bloat the campaign with all of these things like Age of Empire style resources, army limitations. Limiting the building slots, introducing gaming mechanics like perk points or whatever. That's also a problem, and the battle side never gets developed further, because it's just so hard, and it is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say the thing you mentioned about the caps on units and buildings. They brought that back in the recent the recent devlog they did for Medieval 3, and they were like postulating as if it was like this innovative thing. I was like, we had that 10 years ago. That's not new. You're showing me, you have nothing to show me at a showcase where you're supposed to be showcasing the game, and then now you're showcasing me stuff that we had 10 years ago. It's almost embarrassing at that point. And something else you said about the graphics. Graphics can look good without aiming to push the GPU or whatever they're trying to do. Medieval 2 looks good. Rome 1 looks good sometimes. Totally. Even Medieval in its own way is a good looking game. I mean, they still look good now. So it doesn't have to be, we don't need to see the very follicles on every soldier's foreskin. That's not what's important to anybody who's playing this game. As long as it doesn't, look like it's half baked, people are going to be happy with polygons. I specifically prefer the sharp edges like in Medieval 2. I might just be biased though, but I like that style of graphics. I like that graphical style.
Yeah, me too. It's retro.
Cool. Yeah, hint, nudge.
Right. So the two pitfalls were emphasis on graphics and emphasis on campaign. And the third one I could think of would be moving away from the simulation aspect and going more towards the gamey aspect.
Yep.
There's also a ton of things, but pretty much the stuff I already mentioned in the campaign and in the battles, and you have like tons of these little modifiers, and you can't even like reason about them, and the AI can't play the game that way anyways. So it would be good to just go back towards that simulation aspect.
Yeah, agreed. And everybody in my sector at least will agree with you on that. So they'll be happy. They'll be happy to hear you say that. But I want to get into the first devlog, and I have a bunch of points here that I have. So I watched your second devlog first, and it was on the British Isles, right?
Yeah.
And then I watched your first devlog second, and I had it, initially like, oh, okay, so it's going to be this small, contained, thing. He's going to get the battle mechanics set, and then, whatever the future holds. But then you zoomed out, and it's this sprawling map of, like, in the entirety of Europe and Northern Africa, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, okay. So I wanna make sure I don't pertain to know, I don't pertain to, have any grasp on your ability as a coder or the difficulty that goes into making a game of this kind that big. But are you said that you could release this game at the end of next year?
No, this year, 2026.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did I say it wrong?
No. I must have. I wrote that down wrong. 2026. Can you do that with a map that big?
Well, so of course, the challenge is graphical, pretty much with that. That's the only limiting factor. Like, I could make a world map. It's not the problem is not the programming, but the problem is just that you need different visuals for the units, right? It's kind of sad, but that's how it is. And I was also thinking about including the Americas, but there's just so the only problem with that is the graphics, right? And as a solo dev, you are at one point you're just kind of limited,
right,
by that.
So yeah, well that's what I'm that's what I'm getting at. So if it's just on England or whatever, you have
it's the whole world, the whole of Europe and North Africa and Middle East.
Well, right. What I'm saying is, like, if it's just in England, you only have to worry about 4 different factions. They all kind of share the same culture. Well, 3 of them do. You have the Celts, and then you have the Brits. or the Anglo-Saxons, you know, and you can reuse assets there. But if you go to some place like the Middle East or Africa, you have to change the cultural, visual aspect of that entire faction. So is that going to be difficult for you? Is it going to, well, not difficult for you, but I mean, like, is it going to make the game harder to make, is what I mean.
Well, so luckily my philosophy about designing the game is not to have 1 trillion different units, right?
Okay.
So I'm aiming for more of a thing like in the spirit of Shogun 2, I would say. So I like the system a lot, where you have only a few different unit types, but they are all so different, right? Their difference are really emphasized, you know. You have Katana Samurai, Yaya Shigaru, and they all have they have very clear strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And that really makes it easy to reason about them and use them tactically in interesting ways, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's a good answer.
So this just I will try to bring as much into the game as I can, but you know, it will be more oriented on something like Shogun 2, where you only have a few like different unit types.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's smart. I think that's smart, and I think a lot of people will be happy with that. And you know, you're an indie dev. You're doing this by yourself, right? There's nobody else involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Me, I buy some assets like the trees. I bought those for like $20,
right? And
the budget is also like, so far this cost me like $20 pretty much. So it's just me.
Okay, yeah. So a lot can be forgiven. My philosophy with that is, if you're an indie dev, there's a lot that can be forgiven. Just, you know, you don't strike me as the kind of person who's going to sell me a lemon. From what I've seen and the way that you've discussed your project, you seem passionate, and you seem more than capable. If what you tell me is to be believed. So yeah, that's just, you know, don't try to screw me over, and I'll pretty much accept anything you give me. You know, I'm good with it.
Okay.
So, minute 153. Oh, we just talked about that. The Americas. You mentioned that the Americas would be reachable at some point. My question about that is, are you planning to... Maybe? Okay, got it. But my question to that is, are you planning to do a method of like early to late period medieval ages, like Medieval 2 does?
You mean Medieval 1, where you could select different eras, or what do you mean? Well,
in Rome 1 and Medieval 2, throughout the campaign, as you know, the turns go on, your civilizations evolve, technologies are made available to you, certain building types, certain units.
Yeah.
Do you plan to do that? Gotcha.
Yeah. So the tech tree, there will be no tech tree. I like tech trees, but in games they can be totally fun, but I don't think they're a good fit for this particular game because they're so gamey. But if it will be just a certain year is reached and then this is unlocked, this is also maybe a bit boring, so maybe you could improve that a bit, but that's pretty much the model I'm aiming for right now.
Cool. Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. I miss that, and it's like one of the biggest things in the Warhammer games that I cannot believe they did. Start from wherever and then naturally go to the end times. That should have been something that released day one, but they don't really care about that, so we didn't get it. The terrain, the map accurate terrain for when you go into battles. I like that. That's exciting. Not really a question. I'm just saying I'm excited to see that again.
Yeah.
Oh, and your take on cities too. You just
also that the terrain. I'm also working on something where you can just click on a tile and it will load the terrain for you, and you can look at it without having to fight a battle, so you can plan it a little bit better.
Shut up! No.
Yeah.
Oh, you can do that, man.
Yeah, it's super easy. Like it's just loading the battle without soldiers, so it's not hard.
Oh yeah. Okay, so all right. So Rome 1, it had like a little feature where you could look around your settlement.
Yeah, I know.
Did you?
Well, if there will be people in it, I don't know that, but you can look not only at the city, but or the castle, but you can look at every tile.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is this just concept right now, or is this something that you've?
No, I can do it right now.
You can do it right. That's awesome.
But just think about it. Like, if I make a battle, I have to generate the terrain from the campaign.
Right.
And if I want to just look at the terrain, I only generate the terrain and don't add the soldiers to it, right? So it's really easy.
Wow. So it's not even something that you would have to go at after the fact. It's something that you could just do.
Yeah, absolutely. Also another version of that would be having a topographic coloring of the campaign. Or you could click on it and then it would show you like a little the terrain like in a little as a little object, right, that kind of floats above the terrain. So that would be a little bit faster than having to load into the battle. But I will see which is better in the end, right?
Yeah, but that's sick. That gets me giddy. I miss that. I miss that kind of stuff. That's the the player investment. I want to see. I want to see what my money's going towards when I build a grand cathedral or whatever.
Yeah, I have to be careful about that. So I'm probably not going to do city sieges. There's probably only going to be castle sieges. And I know that's a bit disappointing probably, but the reason for that is just that I would have to model all of the buildings. That would take a lot of time. And also, I would. My units are 3 to 5 times larger than Total War units, so they have like 500 men or maybe even more, and that just produces problems in a city. Like the streets would have to be really, really wide, and it would look kind of ridiculous. So, until I have figured out how to do cities, I will do castle sieges only. Actually.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as it's still on the docket. But again, your situation is different. I can excuse that. But what did you? Yeah, the unit size. Because I look at these massive units, and I worry that I'm gonna have large amounts of men not doing anything while I'm fighting a large battle. Have you considered? Well, is it possible to maybe add more units instead of men to a unit, or is there a limitation there, or does it feed off of the collision algorithm that you have going?
Wait, so you mean what are you worried about? Like that you have too many units, or what?
No. Like too many men to a unit, because they are massive. But I worry they may not.
So. The total soldier amount you can have is pretty high, but the unit amount is limited by certain algorithmic things that you just cannot get past.
Gotcha.
So something like 750 men per unit, that would be what I would be comfortable with. That is what I would sign off on for mid-range computers, but more than that, it's just really not possible.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I was wondering about that, but yeah, I mean, if it's a limitation and you can't get past it, that's just how it is. But the resources, I'm interested in that because I like the idea of having to manage a certain aspect about my society. How much it consumes, how much it costs to upkeep. Stuff like that. So you mentioned that it'll be a small amount of resources, like a small, few types of resources, but they'll be important.
Yeah. So like in Rome 1, you had like these like small resources that were sprinkled across the map, and you had many of them, and you didn't really care about them. In Shogun 2, you had these like really, really important resources like the forge or the university or something like that. That's just to illustrate like how you can make them more important for the game. So I'm not going to replicate Shogun to a system because it's also kind of gamey and limiting. Like, because why can't I build a university here? Like, why can't I build it where I want to?
Absolutely.
So my model for the resources is that you have only like a few resources like gold, iron, timber, salt. I think I have. Oh. And they are, every like region has one or multiple, and they trade with their neighbors and over ports and export them and get money that way. But here's the thing, supply and demand actually matter. So if a city receives the same resource from multiple sources, the price for both exporters will go down, right? So this has several consequences. For example, when your empire gets larger, you get diminishing returns because you have more and more resources, but they are worth less.
Ooh.
So it limits your sort of late game expansion, snowballing.
Yeah.
And you can have a trade war. You can now make a trade agreement with your, let's say, for example, like Spain has a lot of gold and trades it with its partners, and you also have gold. And you make a trade agreement with Spain, and now Spain's internal market gets much less money from its gold, right? So, and that's really like playable by the AI, right?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, my biggest worry about that is that the AI is not going to be able to keep up with all that. Are you saying that they will?
Well, it's like automated. So the trade routes are chosen automatically. Maybe the port, I will let the player choose like the port trade routes. But a city can just trade with its neighbors anyways.
Right.
So the AI doesn't have a lot to do. And also as a player, you can also just pretty much ignore this. Your campaign will go worse, but if you really hate trade, then you can just, just play normally, right?
But that's cool. It allows for another avenue of strategical gameplay, and you could potentially, strong arm your neighbors or possibly your enemies into submission just by making them broke. I like that. Yeah. I think that's incredibly great. I think that's really creative and interesting.
Right. So my approach to the AI is that, first of all, it's a bit counterintuitive, but you need to keep it simple. So, there was a change of method in Creative Assembly from Shogun 2 to Rome 2, where they implemented a new campaign AI method called Monte Carlo Tree Search, and it basically is an attempt to predict the game state. You run a simulation for 2 or 3 turns, and on paper that sounds really good, but it's got several downsides. Like, for example, it explodes your end turn time, so suddenly the turns don't take 5 seconds but 50, and it becomes pretty much impossible to reason about why the AI is doing a certain thing or not. And then you get something like Warhammer 3, where the AI, you just don't know anymore. You can't really fix it anymore why it's not working. So that's my philosophy about the AI. and there's my plan is there's some really like small things you can do right now to improve the AI a lot, right? So for the campaign, for example, the auto-resolve algorithm is a huge factor in how well the AI does. Or for battles, you can do really simple things, like, for example, sometimes the AI just retreats. Like, when it starts losing, it retreats. Like in Shogun 2, the army would charge the castle when you were defending, and when it lost, the general would go in, and he would go in every single time, right? Even when it was hopeless, you know. Yeah. So just make him retreat. It's not hard. And another example is just making the units counter-charge if they're charged, not make them pursue a unit they can't catch, so they can't be kited. Let me think if there something else, but you know, or like make a general not charge into a pike formation from the front. So these aren't super hard things to do, so really big bang for the buck, and you already have a much better AI. So, but beyond that, like in my first game, Napoleon, the AI actually doesn't cheat at all, right? It's got the exact same units as you do. And the game is not that easy. A lot of people complain. Like Jackie Fish, another YouTuber, he made a video about it, and he didn't win a single battle. No, that game is, but of course, the game is much simpler, right? So I don't think I will be able to do that again. But I think I can do some meaningful improvements to the AI, and then in the long term, we will see how good it will eventually end up being. Right.
Yeah, right. And you know, we talked about it a little bit to tie it back into the video, so it doesn't look like I'm editing this in after post. But you're modeling the game mechanics, the game's features around the AI and what it's actually capable of. So even if it's not smart, it seems like it is, because it's using the avenues the game has provided to everybody in an equal manner to the player.
Yeah, and it just feels unfair when the AI doesn't have to deal with certain problems that you have to deal with. It feels really shitty, and we all know that. Yeah. And so you need to sacrifice some complexity and coolness for that. You know, you need to always strike a balance, of course, but the AI needs to play, you know, all or at least most of the game system as well.
Yeah. You mentioned in this is still first devlog. You had an idea for castles, about, like, you know, maybe instead of them being on the map, you could just build them. What is that still something you're considering, or have you changed direction?
Oh, it's kind of funny. Like, I had this idea before Creative Assembly, but so I don't like that anymore. Like, it's just, you know, your city is going to be your castle, and maybe you'll be able to build a fort, because it's just kind of, I don't know, I didn't really like it in the end.
Yeah, so we've scrapped that. We scrapped it because I like because, you know, castles were typically built around settlements or strategical points to maintain power and control. And, you know, in civilizations would also send out, you know, colonial groups to found villages near resources and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, you know, if you play Medieval 1, you could dismantle a settlement completely and leave a province bare, and then come back and build a settlement up from the ground up.
I mean, yeah, you can demolish buildings, sure.
Right, but you know, if you wanted to make it like a modular kind of thing, like you could build one, but it had to be in a specific spot in that province, or, you know, I don't know. I don't know how that would work in this particular situation.
Yeah, I mean, it all of this sounds really cool, but you always have to ask the question, how well will the AI do it?
Yeah.
And
Dolphy's
like
losing his mind in the comments right now. I can already tell.
It's just of course I can add like 1 trillion cool mechanics and deep economic simulation, but then you're playing on your own and the AI is playing a different game, and we all know that that isn't really fun.
You don't want that, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's not worth it, right?
Right.
And I like also, I think it could become kind of tedious when you have like the castles. You have like 10 different castles in your province, or like in Shogun 2, you had these like farms on the map. You could burn them, but to be honest, who even did that? Like it never really mattered. Like you always just conquered the settlement, right? So I'm kind of leaning away from that and keeping it simple and having just a city.
Yeah, I can see how it can go in the opposite direction. And you know, obviously your mindset is in the right place. We need the AI to be able to do these things. It can't just be us, you know, participating in the cool mechanics. So, I mean, I that's an acceptable answer to me. That the priority, the priority is correct, in my opinion. Yeah, the collision and gravity. You know, Volan's gonna love that. At the end of your first devlog, you said, you know, you asked the rhetorical question, why would you do this? Why would you do this instead of a mod? And you said, basically because you can, you know, you're capable.
No, that's not what I meant.
No?
It's just that as a modder, like modders have done incredible things in the past. You know, I am also like amazed by it. Like they added supplies and population classes and all of that, but you know, at some point you just hit a wall, and at the latest when you know it comes to coding the AI.
Sure.
So really the reason I'm doing it is that I just can add any mechanic that I want and I have total control.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. It's the control aspect. You can meddle with whatever. You're not limited.
Yeah, I can do anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, you don't have to be so modest. Like this is impressive, in my opinion. This is some impressive stuff. And you've shown pretty handily that you can do it. And I at the very least am happy you're doing it, because something like this could very well just undermine the parasitic system we have going on here with Total War. I guess where I'm coming from, like when I started doing my videos, it was from a place of there aren't enough people telling the truth, or there aren't enough people being honest with themselves about what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we needed more people like Volan and Jake and Dolphy who are willing to just like tell the truth and say what's happening with these companies. And I could do that. I could do it, and so I should. And off of that, I'm kind of I'm morally obligated to, right? Because the other option is just letting the seed of Satan run rampant in our entertainment. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from with it. But don't be so modest. You got something good here. You got something good. Everybody's impressed.
Okay.
I did have a bunch of questions about this, but you know, just we've gone over it a little bit. But so just to keep it simple, will the player be allowed to approach any situation the way they want within the confines that the game provides?
Well, you know, it's a really general question, but yeah, of course, you know, I'm aiming for player freedom. Like, you know, I won't break into your house if you recruit a fourth spy. You know, I won't steal your computer. Like, I don't care if you build a fourth spy. There's no limit that you can only have 3. So you know, you can just balance that by making them cost upkeep.
Excellent.
And you know, it's just really simple things like unlimited building slots. Armies don't need a general,
Yes.
or also even something like I'm going to not do excommunication, for example, by the Pope. It's not going to happen because most people were just annoyed by it and kind of tried to circumvent it or ignored it just. And it's also not even historically accurate. So those are just examples, you know, how there will be, generally speaking, freedom.
Okay, yeah. It's funny you mentioned because one of these questions is are agents coming back? So is that confirmed? Agents are coming back.
Were they gone? They're gone?
Well, yeah, because it's like in Warhammer, you know, they do stuff.
I didn't know that they were.
Yeah, no, they're like, dude, they've been stripping features since Rome 2. It's not even.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's like how we can't get much more streamlined than this. Yeah, no, seriously, it's bad. It's bad.
Okay.
So,
no, yeah, there'll be agents. Yeah.
Finally, goodness gracious, because. You know, to build off of that, and the thing about player freedom is that in a recent campaign I've been doing, just in my free time, I got overwhelmed by a faction, and so what I started doing is sending out agents to get their gates open from their less defended cities, and I use small amounts of horsemen and spearmen to take those take those civilizations and just like break their economy. So stuff like that will be available to players if they want to do, you know, crazy unorthodox things like that.
Yeah, like spies can open gates. They carry disease, like you know it already. You know that you'll be able to infect populations. You'll be able to migrate populations. So, you know, of course, it's always limited. Like, you know, if it isn't programmed, it's not going to happen. But I'm definitely looking out for it.
That goes hard, man. I love that. Oh, and the second devlog, when you attacked, I think at 125, we're in the second devlog now. When you positioned your troops to attack from a certain side, I love that. In newer Total Wars, I don't know.
Is that gone too?
I think so. It is gone in Warhammer.
You mean flanking or?
No, I mean like on the map where if you attack from a specific.
Oh, in a campaign map. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like sure, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's gone from Warhammer. I don't know if it came back in Pharaoh. I don't know. I don't know if they did Kingdoms. I didn't play that shit, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I think they have just like pre-made maps. But since the campaign terrain, the battle terrain is generated from the campaign terrain in my game, it absolutely matters what direction you attack from.
Yeah, and it should too. It's a strategy game, so it should depend on, you know, what direction you're attacking from. There's no point. What's the point of a campaign map if it's not going to matter which way you're coming from? It's the dumbest thing in the world. So you mentioned at 350 and the second devlog, you say that you use the GPU and the CPU to do different things.
Yeah.
So do you use different threads to simulate different things happening at once?
No, so see, you know roughly like a CPU and the GPU. Like the GPU is your graphics card, you know, NVIDIA, AMD, and the CPU is another thing.
Yeah.
So normally games use just the CPU to calculate like the logic, right?
Okay.
So, for example, you know, the movement of the units or even the collision. But since the 2010s roughly, you can also use your graphics card to calculate pretty much anything for you, just like, you know, just literally like 10 plus 20, and it will return that for you. So you can also use the graphics card not just for graphics but also for game logic, and that has just in some situations that is very advantageous. This really simplified explanation would be that the CPU is really good at few but complex tasks, and the GPU is good at simple but many tasks. And so, you know, it's obvious that it's good for something like a huge battle simulation. And really, who first did this, I think, were the people from Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2, who used the graphics card to get like millions of people, right? And that also, that really inspired me to do the same. And so that gives you, it's just, say Total War is entirely on the CPU, right? As far as I know, because they started in the 90s. It was just not possible back then to do it that way. And it's just, you just hit a wall at a certain point for this type of game. You just can't go higher without sacrificing certain things. And that's the reason why Total War has just stayed stagnated since pretty much the beginning, right? It's not. It doesn't matter how good of a programmer you are, you can't optimize it further.
Right.
And so you would have to change the entire architecture like I did. So you have this interaction between the CPU and the GPU, and that's what makes it possible at all to have this physics simulation and those numbers. Like if I did this on the CPU only, I tried it. The game dies at 2,000 soldiers,
Whoa,
right?
Okay.
So because the physics are just so crazy, but with this you can go higher, right?
That's crazy because there's always been the argument for we need a new engine. You need a new engine. We need a new engine so Total War can be good again. And it's like,
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well, exactly. These people don't know like why that is, and you explaining it to me like that just now is like, that encompasses a completely different subset of issues from people like, well, I won't name names, but there are certain individuals who will be like, there's something wrong with the way a unit interacts with the world. We need to get a new engine. That's not going to fix that. It's a completely different.
Well,
problem.
I mean, they could, of course, do what I did. They could, but they would have to start over completely.
Right.
Like they would have to throw away literally everything they already have, and they would have to build a new rendering backend and all that. And that's just not going to happen.
No.
Just going to do that in a company like that. So, yeah.
Which is absurd because people have been asking for changes for a long time, and you just explained these issues with having an old engine in a way that nobody has been able to explain it to me before, including Creative Assembly, and it seems like something that people like them should be able to do. They get paid to do what you do, and they can't.
Well, I'm sure they could. Like the developers definitely could. There are some pretty good people working there. I'm sure of that. But it's just that the management would just say no.
Yeah. Yeah. When I say Creative Assembly, I'm talking about the management, the CEOs.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not talking about the people underneath them who are just there for a paycheck. It's not their fault, right? But I mean, still, it's pretty embarrassing. I liked watching the units go through the trees in the devlog, and the arrows getting blocked by the trees. That's good. I like that. And we talked about the little scientific equation that you put into the game. So, can you explain to me, like I have no idea what that is. Can you explain to me how you have implemented this into the game?
So it's called smoothed particle hydrodynamics. Okay, so it's just a method of simulating a fluid, like literally like water, by pretending like it's made up of little dots, right? So little particles. It isn't, but you just pretend it is. And these dots have like a radius. They're like spheres, basically. And you give them properties like mass, and you have simulated parameters like velocity, density, local density, pressure, and that just can also be used for crowds, right? Because crowds actually behave very similar to a fluid. It sounds really counterintuitive, but that's what scientists have found out in researching crowd crushes. So does that clear it up a little bit more?
Yeah. Well, what I mainly mean is how is it implemented into the game's code? Because it's not like you put that equation into the line.
No, that's literally there. Oh. Literally, yeah.
Oh. So it's
yeah, of course.
It's literally in
it has to be math. Yes, it has to be math. Like, it's in there, yeah.
Okay.
It's true SPH.
That's incredible. Like, never in a million years would anybody have come up with that. And I know.
Oh no, it's used in some games, right? Some games use it for like simulating water, right? But it's just new using it for a battle simulator.
Wow.
That's cool.
I mean, come on, man. I don't know. I just feel like Creative Assembly should have been on this a long time ago. Like, that is so amazingly creative. Like, I would have never suggested, hey, let's use a pool generator to simulate battle. Come on. It's so badass. Oh man. I'm buying this when it comes out. I don't care how much it costs. Yeah, which leads me to my next point. I love the way the formations push and pull against each other. The way that the lines will morph and break in half in the game. That's so impressive to me. And go ahead.
Yeah, it's just, and it's emergent, it's not scripted. Like, this is just based on the decisions the soldiers took and based on the simulation. I was also surprised, like, when I recorded this, I was like, damn, this actually had just happened.
You didn't expect it to happen when you were recording it?
No, I hadn't seen it that way before.
Oh, that's badass. You using the term emergent gameplay. I know Dolphy's having a conniption fit right now. He's just going nuts. He's so happy. Okay. So there was this one part at 11:40 that really psyched me out. So you said something when units get squeezed, it becomes hard to fight, and it depends on what weapon the unit has.
No, that's not. That's the plan, right? So they do get squeezed right now, and I'm prototyping that based on the pressure enacted on them. But I'll really have to test this with some people when the time comes, if this is really something that would work well, because if you're squeezing the enemy, you're also kind of squeezing yourself. So we would have to see how that works.
Interesting.
And that with the weapon types, I was just exploring different ways of getting beyond rock paper scissors, right?
Yeah.
But it's really hard, and we'll see how it works out in the end.
Okay, good. So it's not in practice yet. We're still theorizing.
Well, I mean, right now in the code, if they get squeezed too hard, they become inactive. They can't attack anymore. They become more like moved by the crowd rather than moving it, which is what happens in real life. That's what in there right now.
Yeah, but it doesn't have anything to do with the weapon type yet. We're still Gotcha. Okay, so that hasn't been implemented. Because I was about to say if you're about to tell me that the unit's effectiveness is not only affected by what's happening around them, but what they're currently holding and wearing, I'm going to call you a liar. And there's no way. There's no way. I would have been really impressed. I wouldn't put it past you, though. But I'll be interested to see if that even gets implemented. I'd be interested to see how that plays out, because that's fascinating.
Yeah.
You have morale and fatigue. We like that. We like to see that. I liked what you said about the arrow trails. I've always found those annoying in Total War.
I hate those. I hate them so much with the white trails, bro.
It's like, it's a testament to what creative assembly is now. We're just appealing to the lowest common denominator. Like, do I need to keep track of where the arrows are going? I already clicked on the unit I want the archers to shoot at. Are you worried that people are going to get confused about where they're going? It's so...
Yeah, like, you can still see them, kind of.
See them.
So.
It's so lame.
Yeah.
It's so lame. Okay, well that's all I wanted to ask about the dev logs, and I looked at some of the stuff you posted, and people's concerns about historical accuracy. I want to stand by you for a moment and just say, it's not all going to be historically accurate. It can't be a one-to-one recreation of real life. From what I understand, you are trying to focus on what makes the game fun, like
yeah, mostly.
Yeah, and it's like that's not realistic. It's okay. How does that, like, how is that fun? If it's not fun.
So what people were complaining about in terms of historical accuracy is that there is this theory called pulse theory, that ancient battles weren't, the people weren't fighting all the time, but they were kind of standing at a distance from each other, and every once in a while somebody would try to get a hit in and then would retreat to his line. Now, my personal stance on that is it's probably true for light infantry or skirmishers. They can really imagine it. Somebody just tries to chuck a spear and then retreat. But, we just have so many examples from history, at the Battle of Cannae, where the Romans were just encircled and they couldn't lift their swords anymore. That's a literal quote, right? It's from an ancient text. Or, the Battle of Leuctra, where the Theban army deepened its left flank and thereby destroyed the Spartan army. So, pushing and all of those things in real formation combat and a tight formation and pushing against each other, that was also a reality.
Right.
And sometimes it happened intentionally and sometimes by accident. So I don't think you can just say as an absolutist, everyone just fought in this pulse way, but it was, kind of a mix. And yeah, as you said, it's a game. It has just limitations that cannot really be overcome, and we can only approximate it. But yeah,
and also we want it to be fun. It's not very interesting if it maybe in an emergent or weird way where sometimes it happens with lower tier units or whatever. But we don't. I mean, I'm not going to buy a game if a strategy game where the guys don't fight. I'm not really interested in that. I'm not really interested in that. And I'm sure
there were also people saying that arrows weren't used for killing people but for harassing them, and I also find it a bit it's a bit exaggerated, maybe, to say that that arrows weren't used to kill people.
That is exaggerated for sure. I don't know why else. I mean, they used them to kill animals, so why wouldn't it work on a guy?
Well, the idea is the armor is too thick. No, it's not wrong, but you also have light troops,
Right.
So
not everybody wears armor, and you can get lucky. It's also annoying to get hit with something that's coming that fast at you, But yeah, no. In regards to the pulse theory, or whatever, I'm sure that happened. I'm sure there's at one point in history, that it happened once. It's like that thing where pirates didn't bury their treasure. Never. There wasn't one guy. It's that kind of situation. But I doubt it was the norm. I would argue that formations. In this system particularly, the formations are of great interest to me, because now like you mentioned before, they actually matter now. If a unit attacks another unit out of formation, they're going to not be in formation, and if that could have a negative effect on the way you attack the other army. Not much of an inquiry. I just think that's really cool, because now there's like a dynamic of, well, how trained are they? How disciplined are they? Can we use the confusion to attack? It's just,
Yeah, and it's robust, right? It's not just a modifier.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's something that it's something that I didn't even realize I wanted. It should have been something that should have been implemented a long time ago. But here you are, Thank goodness. Praise be. And I'm glad you're doing it, because I can't learn to code at this point. I tried it in college once, and I failed that class. I have no idea what I was doing, so I'm glad you're here. So I have, the game is in early development.
Yeah.
And we could theorize features and mechanics all day, So I have some requests and inquiries for you, and I've cut it down to 3.
Okay.
So, Naval Combat, is that even planned?
Well, eventually yes, because in my opinion you can't have the game without it. But I cannot predict right now how the development is going to go. And I mean, it's the naval combat is really trivial to do, except for boarding, right? That's the difficult part about it. I will have to see how difficult it will be and when it will be added. But my focus is of course on getting the base game with the campaign and the battles right, and getting that really, really tight and interesting. And then eventually there will be naval battles, absolutely.
Of course. Okay, excellent. So it's good. Yeah, no, you got your priorities set good. I'm real happy about that. But yeah, in regards to naval battle, I don't want anything complicated. All I ask, if they are ever implemented, that ships for different factions look different, and there are different kinds. That's all I care about for that.
Yeah, of course.
Sieges.
Yeah, ships with cannons and
yes,
ships without them, for example. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Yes. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so sieges. I know you said there won't be city sieges, probably.
Yeah, most likely.
So, and that's fine. I can handle that. But the castle sieges better go hard, right? So they better be sick as hell. And I want to get your opinion on some of these, because there's a lot of stages to a siege. You should probably know beforehand that I am a stickler for this kind of thing. It's one of the main reasons I detest modern Total War, because they butchered sieges. They have not been good since Medieval 2, and I know people will argue with me about that. That's fine. I'll fight you out in the street about it. But they have not been good since Medieval 2, and it's
in what way specifically?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So the multiple rungs, right? The way that the cities are built in order to allow for choke points, allow for different stages of advance. The reason why the new, the siege rework for Warhammer 3 was such a flop was because their big thing was like, we have ladders now. But the reason why you brought ladders in older games was so that you could bring it into the city and climb the wall that's in there. It wasn't just another avenue to get on the wall, the outer wall. But since the outer wall is the only wall that exists in these games anymore, they don't have to, they don't have to worry about it. But you use using different siege equipment to accomplish different tasks, using different techniques to catch units out, to lower the amount of troops in any given area. That's what I'm interested in. I want it to be a long, drawn-out thing.
So first of all, there's going to be up to 3 layers of walls. So
yeah, you did say that.
You'll have. Did I? Yeah. So it's layered sieges, because that's just epic. Like you can't do without it.
Yeah, boy.
And in terms of siege equipment, so right now, of course, there's going to be ladders. There's going to be siege towers. And ramps, and the siege equipment we already know, catapults, cannons later on. I'm also going to do gunpowder, and trebuchets.
Hell yes.
But it's really like difficult to find a new siege equipment that really expands tactical possibilities. Like I think there was a tunnel in Rome 1 where you could dig under the wall, but
sappers.
It was kind of similar to just bringing the wall down. So maybe you have something in particular you were thinking of.
Well, no, it's mainly just having those options available to me, and being able to use them in creative ways.
Yeah, of course you can build what you want.
Right. Yeah, and there are different stages to a siege, right? So. The one thing I will give Attila, that game, is its concept of escalation. It worked as an aesthetic thing, and it kind of factored into population and stuff. And what was it? Morale. But we don't want to make a total war game, so. But I think concepts of bombardment and repeated attacks should, factor into a siege as it takes place over time.
But how exactly do you mean that? Do you mean that you have repeated battles on a siege map, or do you mean when you end the turn, the walls get destroyed by bombardment, or how do you mean that exactly?
Yes, kind of. That'll be up to you, because in the end, because you're making the game. But yes, and I want to be able, if I want to capture, if I push into a city, and say I manage to capture, the ring before the next wall, but I want to bring in more units. And so I back out of the battle. I don't want to lose the battle, right?
I see. Yeah. So now that you said this to me, what I'm thinking, as a programmer, is how would you define this that you conquered the ring, right? So that would be something I'll be thinking about. I'm assuming a flag would be really shitty, because
yeah.
But nobody wants that. So you could determine it by no enemy unit occupies the ring, but only yours. So that would be a way of doing it. But then you could have on the other end of a city, there's a unit occupying the ring, would also be kind of bad. So that's just I like the idea. But see, this is just some of those details that you would have to think about in doing that.
Yeah, well, that's why you're here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I'll let you figure that. I'm not, as long as the freedom to approach it any way I want is there, I can deal with long drawn out stuff until going towards the end.
Yeah, but I think it's possible. You already have this thing where you make a sally out and you move all of your units back into the settlement, and then you don't lose the siege when you end the battle. But you still you inflicted losses, but you still hold the city. So something similar like that. It's not completely impossible. So I will look into it, because yes. I like that. I like that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's awesome. I wanted to the three stages of a siege, right? Encirclement, entrenchment, and then investment, which would factor into the bombardment phase after the investment. Well, I basically said all the stuff I wanted to say about it just then before I said that. But so yeah, that's what I'm interested in. I want there to be stages, and well, I would like to see, some depth and some stages that flow into one another and play off of one another.
Yeah, how would you like it that if you have a trebuchet in your army and you end the turn, then the wall is damaged after that? How would you like that?
I don't know. I'd want to do it myself.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to actually play the battle and damage it and then go back and the wall is damaged, basically, or what?
Right. Now, this might just be totally personal. I'm not going to pertain to speak for anybody else on this matter, but
because that's really easy. Like,
oh, so it would be easy to just like have it damaged.
Yeah, you just make you start the battle, you destroy the wall, and you end the battle, and then the wall is destroyed. So you just make the victory condition for the defender that the attacker army has to rout. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I like that. And if it, if you wanted to do it from the map, maybe like it would have to cost resources or something. You don't have infinite rocks or whatever. You can only bring so many.
You mean the ammunition is dependent on the region you're in?
Well, no, but that's interesting though.
Yeah, but what would you tie that to? It's, how many mountains are there? I don't know.
We gotta go get rocks from the mountain to chuck them at the city. Yeah, no, you get a point.
I mean, it's already kind of modeled by just having ammunition,
True. Yeah, true. Instead of like treating it, because then it becomes a different game for the most part. But yeah, as long as it's drawn out, as long as it's difficult, and as long as I have to use different tactics to capture the place, like you would typically, I would be satisfied with that.
Okay.
With last thing, much simpler thing, flags. I want to see flags on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I want to see, what faction, what village they came from, who their lord is.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
So you want like a regional flag for where the unit was recruited from, pretty much.
Yeah, basically, and with the lord and stuff. Oh, that reminds me. You mentioned something in the devlog about each individual lord, or not lord.
Yeah.
What did you say about for each unit?
So every unit has a character, right?
Yeah.
But not all of them are, family members or something like that. So the current character system I'm pursuing is that, every unit has a character, and when he dies in battle, he dies in the campaign. But, if it's a minor character like a captain, he can, when he's winning a battle on his own, he can, be adopted, basically.
Excellent.
And the characters, the major characters, have like a loyalty value to you, to your faction leader. And it's not just that they, one of them becomes disloyal and defects, but they form an independence faction within your country. And, you kind of, if they win too many battles, they become too cocky, they become too powerful. And you have to manage that by keeping them happy, by giving them titles, landed titles, right, for the regions. If you're not careful, they will all rise up at once. So this is also, a really like organic late game challenge, I guess. It's not like a scripted like realm divide, but it's still maintainable, it's still manageable as a player. It's simple enough, and also can be managed kind of by the AI. But it's just better in terms of just being more natural.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it actually spurred another question. So is this something that's in practice, or is this theory still?
So I'm working on it right now. It's still a theory.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. Still looking forward to it. So families. Are there? Will there be?
Well, I'm aiming for a family tree for your faction leader. But I'm probably not going to do a families for our major characters because that would just be kind of too much. So, kind of inspired by Shogun 2 for that, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Using that as a reference, I think that's good enough. Now, is there like a meta game in there where you can, maybe if your brother gets a little too rowdy, you can, dispose of him?
Well, yeah, of course you can assassinate him, but you can just do that with the agent, like, right? There's no separate mechanic needed.
Right. That's right.
But, for example, if the assassination goes wrong, your independence faction grows stronger. That would be the example for how that's kind of balanced.
Yeah.
And you could also disinherit or inherit certain people. You can adopt characters into your family. And it's not totally inaccurate. Like it's not like Europe was completely primogenitor. It was sometimes kings just picked their the next throne candidate.
For sure. Yeah.
So those are just some ways you can manage them, and it's not like too much. It's not like Crusader Kings 2 because that's not the goal here, you know.
Right. No.
But it's still a bit more interesting and emergent than what was there before.
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be this big thing. The focus is on the battles. I mean, if you want to throw
absolutely.
it in there as an afterthought, that's appreciated, but it's not the most important thing. It's not going to make or break the game. Now, for customization, is there any? Or is there any plan? Because for the individual characters, for the units, can you customize them in any way? Did you think? Or
Well, if so, I would only do it visually. And the reason for that is if you have 100 different units and they're all slightly different in their stats, it becomes impossible to reason about them or for the AI to reason about them. And I'm also not a fan of this design. You give your unit a piece of cheese and it gains plus 10% reload speed.
Right, no,
right.
We don't want that.
So, yeah, I would have to think about a visual customization. So, you change the colors basically.
Yeah.
But I'd have to see about that.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't break your back to do it. But I like. It factors into the flag thing. If I can change the dude's flag to look a certain way or make him have.
Okay, but wouldn't it be like unimmersive if you change England's flag? I mean,
not England's flag, just that guy, just the guy.
Okay.
If I or just change the way he appeared on the battlefield or the name of his company, something like that to remind me that I like that.
The name, yeah,
stuff like
that. I like that giving units names. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I go nuts for stuff like that. The game doesn't even have to be good. If I can change the name of something, or if I can change the way something looks, if I can give somebody a certain kind of armor or whatever, I'm like, hell yeah, it's the best game in the world.
Okay.
But so as a last question, because I've had you for about an hour and 20 minutes here, for one more question, if everything goes right. And there's no hang-ups. You get all the time in the world you need. What does this game look like when you're done with it?
Well, I mean, pretty much all we talked about. So, but I'm like, what do you mean when I'm done with it? I mean, I'm probably never going to be done like with it completely, because such a game cannot really be finished, But if you're asking what it's going to look like at release. Pretty much what we talked about, and the other obvious stuff. Naval battles probably not.
Right. So you don't have like a finalized, realized dream, like besides from what you'll have on release day.
Well, of course, like if people love the game and it's really successful, then the next thing would be to extend the modding support, so modders can start working on the game. And can also mod the campaign map, by the way, really easily. I really invested a lot of time into that. That you can do that. The code just generates the terrain for you.
Nice,
you just need to do some inputs. And then once then I guess we'll all have, if there's interest, then there will be discussions about what the game should evolve into, and we will deepen that over the course of several months, and then we can start maybe adding an expansion, like a particular war that adds new mechanics, like Pike and Shot, for example, is a really interesting period. And then I guess we'll just go up and down history, until people get tired of it.
That's wonderful. Sounds like a good time, man. I'm excited to be there for every step of the way for it. I will, just a message to you: don't let anybody tell you what make your game. Don't let people tell you one way or the other, or you need to have this because of the. Make your thing. It's your piece of art. Make it the way you want it to be made. And then, afterwards we can fantasize about, putting sappers into it or whatever. But I'm excited. I'm excited for every step of the way. I will be there to shill for you. I'll tell people to buy the game. I'll tell people to buy the game. I'll ignore the bugs. If you need somebody to beta test or test certain games,
that would be great.
I'm there for it. Man. I'll do it.
Yeah, we're gonna start testing in like 3 or 4 months, and I would love to have you on that closed test. We can do some QA.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
And I'll put it on the channel. I'll tell everybody to buy it. I'll tell everybody to get it, dude. Whatever you need, bro. Whatever you need, we're gonna get it done.
Yeah, it's very nice of you, and as long as it's like you're honestly like interested, which you are, that's great. But I don't personally like that when people make videos that are obviously paid. Like, I understand if somebody wants to make if someone wants to make a livelihood out of YouTube, and I respect that. But it's just, I think, also from the perspective as a developer, if somebody makes a video and it's just obviously dishonest, it actually, I think, damages your brand. Because people at least subconsciously realize that they're just, this is just an advertisement, and they stop caring. Right. And I also believe that an honest organization will tend to outlast a dishonest one.
Oh, for sure. Because you can only lie to somebody's face for so long until people realize you're lying to them. So not to say that anybody lied. In my opinion, personal opinion, subjective opinion. Not to say that anybody's lying about anything, but it does look that way.
Yeah. And I have a job, I have, my livelihood is secure. I'm not looking to sell this, or I'm not even looking for a publisher, to be honest. Like, publishing deals are also really bad, by the way, for solo devs. So I'm just looking here to, of course, I want to make money, but I'm also mostly looking to have fun because I have money. So I want to have fun with this, and I can't really have fun when I'm in this kind of corporate swamp,
Right, this hell pit. Yeah. So just to clarify, people, he can't be bought. So we'll get a quality product. But yeah, be sure to support him. Be sure to wishlist the game on Steam. And I guess I'll link your stuff. Is there a Patreon or anything you have? No, I guess not, right?
No, there's no Patreon right now. Maybe later I'll add one.
Maybe
but later. Yeah, to pay for like a composer, that would be great, because that's something I can't do. But if we could get some money together for a composer, that would be awesome, I think.
Yeah.
People, yeah. But right now the best way to support the game, if you like it, what you heard, what you saw in the devlogs, the absolute best way to do it is to wishlist on Steam. It costs nothing, it's really quick, and it just makes Steam's algorithm show the game to more and more people, and that will just increase its popularity.
So get to it. It costs you no money. Get over there. Do it. Help our boy out. Thank you, Candyman. Thank you very much for entertaining me and letting me harass you about your project.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's not a simple case of just porting it across.